Welcome to the Answers Yes podcast, where we interview some of the most interesting people that have said yes to opportunities in their life. We hope that through these stories, you can learn to create your own destiny by saying yes along the way. Join us as we explore the new series covering topics such as passion, integrity, and hard work. I'm your host, Jim Riley, and I hope you enjoy these interviews as much as I do. I believe that everyone has an important message worth hearing. Hello, and welcome to the Answers Yes podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, if you're paying attention, most of my shows these days are with myself and Rod Kuntz, my partner in our coaching group. But I love when I step aside and get back to the roots, and that's interviewing entrepreneurs from around the country. And I see so many requests come my way, and they're all good, but some just stand out way beyond others that resonate with me and what my message is and what I stand for. And that's what today's interview is all about, because if you've been paying attention, I'm a partner in online sales for a cattle ranch down in Dillon, Montana, and that's Reminisce Angus beef. And we'd love to sell you some meat online. But, you know, there's other people doing the same thing in different categories. And today I've got Nick on the line, and we're going to talk about Copi Fish Company. So, Nick, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so your publicist reached out, so good job having a publicist, and she did a real good job, pushing what you do. And finally caught my eye. I'm like, wait a minute, I've got to talk to Nick about what he's doing and the product that you sell and how you're bringing it to market and all those good things. But before we jump into that, we need a little background on you, where you came from, how you got into business in the first place, some backstory. So if you wouldn't mind giving us some backstory, I'd appreciate it.
I appreciate it. I'm from a small farming community in Southern Illinois, and I went to school at Southern Illinois University, Carbondale, and studied geology. I enjoyed being outside and thought I was going to get to work with my hands a little bit more, but it ended up not panning out like that at first. I have two boys. One is 9 and one's 2.5. So they keep me pretty busy when I'm not at work. I love being outside, skiing, fishing, and starting businesses. It keeps me pretty busy.
So I know we're going to talk about Copi Fish today, but is that your first business, or have you had others? Have you dabbled in other arenas? Take us down that road a little bit.
Yeah, I've had several businesses. I started my first business when I was in 6th grade. I bought a bike, I fixed it up, I flipped it, and then I started buying baseball cards and coins, and I've always kind of been an entrepreneurial mindset, and I've always enjoyed trying to figure out how to create value out of things. And one of the biggest companies I've built is an oil and gas company. I spent a bunch of time in North Dakota and Texas and all over, and I lucked out with that. And I'm kind of trying to transition my skills from building that business into something a little different with the Copi Fish Co. I have two boys, and it's important what we feed them, and it's important to see them grow. And I've been infatuated with nutrition and where our food is coming from. And the rivers around here are pristine. They're mostly spring fed, and it's kind of how the environment that I think would provide a good source of protein. That we came across these fish and we developed it into a business. So it's kind of my backstory on where I've come from and kind of what I like to do. Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to let you get away with skirting through the flip the bike deal when you're in 6th grade. So this is an entrepreneur show. If you're listening, this part right here could be the whole golden nugget on top of everything else we're going to talk about today. Every time I interview an entrepreneur, they 99% of the time had some type of business when they were in grade school, as far back as what you're talking about, 6th grade, buying a bike and flipping it. I know it's probably been a few years, but what made you think about doing that? Was it your parents, or you just wanted to make some money? What inspired you to buy a bike and flip it and make some money at that age?
Um, I wanted something. I don't know if I wanted shoes or I don't like, a new pair of basketball shoes. I don't remember what it was, but I wanted something. And my dad was like, well, if you want something, go get it. And um, so I was like, well, I need some money. How can I make some money? And that was one of the things that came to mind. My mom would take me to the gas station before school, and I would buy, you know, gum and suckers, and then I would bring them to school and sell them to my friends. But I got in trouble for that.
Ah,
So
so did
I
I.
had, that's awesome.
So
Then
did
I had to
I.
transition. What was your first business?
I was selling gum at school. You buy a big pack of Bubblicious for,
Yeah,
50 cents and you can sell it for 25 cents a piece. So you doubled your money basically. And then
yeah.
I transitioned into rock band pins like that you'd put on your baseball cap or on a sweatshirt or something.
Okay.
I'd buy them cheap and paint them and then sell them at school for a couple bucks. But yeah, I got popped at school for selling stuff. How funny.
That's awesome. Well, very cool.
The thing is, Nick, and we laugh about these stories and they're funny, but this is what instills in our kids and in others, the ability and the desire to be entrepreneurs. Flipping a bike is a lot more than just, hey, I flipped a bike and I made money. And I'm sorry to overdwell on it, but it's a lesson I try to teach. I first heard the word flip from Gary Vaynerchuk. He's a big marketing company out of the
Oh
East
yeah,
Coast, New Jersey guy. And he's like,
wine
look,
guy.
don't ever tell me you don't have money. You can go buy something and flip it. You can go on, Craigslist and search the free items, go get something for free, clean it up and flip it and make 20 bucks. You're never not able to make money. And I love that that's where things started for you. Obviously you grew out of that and the baseball cards and everything else. And you were inspired to start an oil and gas company. That seems like a big deal. Like, what did that entail? Obviously, licensing and business license, all that other stuff. But talk about that for a minute, because that seems like a huge leap. And coming from Montana, half the guys that live in my city go work out in the rigs in Dakotas.
Yeah. Yeah, it was I actually started out in North Dakota on the rigs and I was there for a year and it's a lifestyle working on those rigs. Like I would follow a rig around and work for 60 days in a row, but I was also um I wanted to buy some property, so
Mm-hmm.
I worked.
Yeah.
And then, I got a shot to come down to Dallas and kind of learn a different side of the business. And then, I did that for several years and then went out on my own, partnered up with some guys and kind of lucked out. I mean, we operated 125 wells in Texas and over 6 counties, and it was a tremendous amount of work. But I feel extremely fortunate that I was able to be a part of it. We had to get bonded with the Texas Railroad Commission, get insurance, and it was it was a ton of work, but it was a fantastic experience. I actually got radiation poisoning, and I decided to take a step back from the operations side because it was taking a toll on me. I was working 60 hours a week consistently for years and years, and having 2 children, it's kind of like your priority switch. Like you want to be successful and you want to um, pursue passions of whatever that is, creating wealth or creating value. But then my value changed after I got sick. Like I couldn't brush my teeth for a week
Mm.
and without my gums bleeding. And it was pretty scary.
Wow.
So we decided to dial back from that. And, but I've always had a passion for the rivers and working with my hands and this commercial fishing thing is it's something I enjoy and it's an icing on the cake that we can um provide a quality protein to people.
Let's dive into that a little bit. And actually, sidebar for those of you that don't know, if you're familiar with Tito's vodka, I had the pleasure of meeting Tito on several occasions when I was in that industry. Talking about transitioning out of the rigs, right? He used to work on the oil rigs, out at sea off the Texas coast. And back home, as just a hobby, he was distilling vodka. Him and his dog. If you see his commercials, he's got his Labrador. And he thought, hey, what a great way I could meet girls is if I had this vodka company. He started Tito's Vodka. Well, of course, fast forward the story, he's one of the largest vodka companies in the world. I think he's probably worth $10 billion. But all started out on the oil rigs. Guy wanted to meet some girls and start a vodka company. So anyways,
Now,
good on you transitioning out. It's a lot of work. You make good money, but like you said, it takes a toll. So you kind of described a little bit about the fish company, but tell us about your mission statement and what you hope to accomplish, because that's really what resonated with me. And then let's dive into that business a little bit.
so these fish, they're wild caught. They're not farm raised. They're not, and they're local to the Midwest, like pretty much anywhere from Mississippi to, they're trying to keep them out of the Great Lakes right now, but they're abundant. And, they grow up to 10 pounds in a year. And
Wow.
they're everywhere. They have a similar protein content to salmon. The one issue with them is they do have a Y bone. I don't know if you've eaten trout,
Yep.
and trout bones they're kind of a pain to deal with. But I think that if we can um, sell it for substantially less, then I think people will be attracted to that. Especially if it is such a high quality, and it is a good source of protein. Considering how expensive things are right now, just to raise in any protein. So that's kind of what we're excited about, is to kind of share this product with what we found, and what we hope can help feed your families too.
So I love that, up here in Montana, we basically live off of our property. They say if your wife gets chickens, you better get ready. You're going to have a garden and she's going to be making, homemade sourdough and all this other stuff. Well, yeah, that's a lot of truth to that. Well, on the forward facing page of your website, it's a brief description of the Copi, and it talks about it being high quality protein packed with essential nutrients and fats. It contains 108 calories per 85-gram serving. 15 grams of protein. Now, I've been a workout buff all my life into my 50s, and I realized how important protein is to our diets and getting healthy sources of protein. And that was another thing that just caught my attention about it. I love your mission to providing healthy, safe, products for us to eat, because there's such a concern. I mean, is that part of your mission to make sure that we're eating healthier foods besides what we're grabbing at the stores?
100%. Like, one of the things that I've come across is I'm starting to read all the ingredients that's in
Yeah.
these packages, and I'm like, what is natural flavors? Like, what is that? And it's like there's 1,000 different things that go into frozen breaded chicken or frozen breaded fish. And like, one of the things that I'm learning is that, so basically, it's like minced up fish. So they'll mince up the bones, they'll mince up everything, and cook it. And I get it. Like, there's a ton of people on Earth, and there's a ton of people to feed, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of the bad things are stored in the bones, right? Like, mercury is a big issue for predator fish. Like, any big predator fish you kind of want to stay away from. And it's hard to tell on these frozen packages of food, like, where they're getting their proteins from. Like, I have no idea where they're coming from, and I just wasn't comfortable. So, we've kind of scoured the business world on different things to pursue, and this just seemed like it ticked all the boxes.
Mm-hmm. So what is your long-term objective for the company? I mean, it's a beautiful website. You've got some recipe ideas and stuff on there. Where are you guys going to take this thing?
I mean, I don't know. I I don't know. I mean, you want to say that your kids will work with you one day, but you know, um, I mean, to be honest with you, I like to build businesses, and then I don't want to run the daily operations on certain things anymore. So I don't know. Maybe we can partner up with a group that will help us run the daily stuff. But um, the seafood business industry is like $160 billion industry a year. It's something crazy, to where I do think there is room for exponential growth in it, and there is, you know, uh, potential there. So, at this stage, we're just kind of developing that and just kind of seeing where it goes.
I love the line I just read. It's river to table. We say farm to table here or ranch to table, river to table. Um, so is the site officially launched? Are you guys selling product in the market? What does your business look like today?
We have sold some. We are not streamlined to sell it directly to consumers yet.
Yeah.
That's our goal, right? Because that's where I do feel like there is the most potential, is that, okay, so if the general population can see where we're harvesting these fish, and all the research that we've done on how healthy they are and how healthy the rivers are, then we think that it'll take off. So right now, we'll sell it wholesale to local markets. But that's kind of one of the reasons that we got a publicist, and we're like, okay, how do we promote this on the level to where we think this can go?
Yeah. And what does the family think? Your kids ready to be in the fish business?
Uh, yeah, my oldest loves fishing with me, and he's got a job this summer, so we'll we'll see how it goes. He's actually homesick today. He went to um he had a sore throat, but yeah, he's gonna do some work for me this summer.
So, Nick, we didn't talk about that aspect, but talk about the fishing side of it, right? So, we can see the forward facing stuff. You got a beautiful website, you got some recipes, the fish looks healthy, like all the stuff there. But talk about the grind. I mean, you don't just pull up on the river and they jump in the boat. I mean, what does that look like? What does the day look like of fishing? How often are you harvesting, fish and all that other stuff?
We're harvesting about once a week right now, but we're trying to ramp that up, and it is, being on a river is inherently dangerous, right? And especially when you're managing hundreds of feet of net. So, we safety is extremely important at the end of the day, but um, it's scouting. There's a lot of scouting, figuring out where they are that time of day, and pulling them in the boat, taking them off the nets, and bleeding them out. And unfortunately, that's part of raising protein, is things like that. But just to make sure you have the highest quality meat, and there's no blood in the meat. Field dressing them, and then taking them to prepare them to freeze and deliver to stores.
So how many guys are on the boat at a time? What type of boat? What's the size? Obviously, you're on a river, so that's got its own complications. It's not like it's just sitting there.
Yeah, no, it's two guys. It's a 24-foot. Basically, it's a extremely beefed up John boat that can
Hmm.
hold up to 5,000 pounds. So, I mean, for a boat, that's a considerable amount. And then when it gets loaded down, it's a little bit hard to maneuver, but it's at the end of the day, I would rather be on a river fishing um, than not. So I enjoy being out there, and my brother's the other one, so it works out well.
I'm guessing that you'd rather be on a boat than out on an oil rig.
Yeah, I kind of miss working on wells sometimes though too. Like I didn't miss the winters in North Dakota, um, because it was -40, and we would go throw a pot of water in the air and it was freeze before it hit the ground. But I do miss like actually fixing wells. That sounds strange, but getting wrenches out and fixing a polished rod, and just seeing produce more oil. Like I did thoroughly enjoy that. But this is uh, something I really enjoy too. Just getting my hands dirty and collecting a resource.
Yeah. So, sorry to bounce around a little bit, but just thinking about you guys out there fishing, you said trying to figure out where the fish are at. I mean, so you're netting, this, part of a school of fish, hopefully to get a good catch. There's no bait involved. It's literally trying to track the school of fish.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's they move around and you're basically just looking for a school and just set your nets up around them and haul them in.
So, and I'm sorry if you already touched on this. How'd you find out about this particular breed of fish and the abundance of it in this river? We sit around the bar one night and buddy says, "Hey, we should go catch these fish or something." Or how'd you find out?
Well, I heard about them all the time being uh you know essentially an invasive species, right? And I was I tried to fly fish for gar for a while
Mhm.
because they're gar. I love gar too. They're amazing predator fish. But I was just floating down the river and I saw the schools just moving up the river, and they were massive, like 15, 18 pound fish. And then I just started doing research on them and catching some and preparing them, and they're good to eat. So I'm like, okay, I think there's something here.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, look, man, we appreciate hearing your story. Kind of hit that 25-minute mark here, and I'm excited for you, and I love hearing just that last part. I think oftentimes we get wrapped up in, thinking that there's no opportunities out there. And here you are, float tubing, fishing a little bit, identifying a species, going, "Hey, I should do some research on this," and realizing there's a business in this. And your entrepreneur mentality, dating all the way back to when you were in sixth grade, flipping that bike, gave you the confidence and the courage to do it. And I'm just so happy for you finding something that you can do, get your boys involved, and create a sustainable, way of living, but also providing a quality product for us to eat as consumers. So, I'm excited to see this thing unfold.
Well, Jim, I really genuinely appreciate that, and I genuinely appreciate you having me on and talking to you. Like, I kind of want to interview you and all the accomplishments you've done, but
We'll save it for another day. But hey, if people want to follow your story, I've got your website up. It's Copi Fish, COPIFISHCO.com, CopiFishCo.com. You guys have an Instagram and all that other good stuff, or where can they find you outside this website?
yeah, Copi Fish Co. On Instagram, and that's kind of where we are developing some marketing strategies to start pumping out some content to kind of show you behind the scenes on what we do. So yeah, the COPI Fish FISHCO on Instagram.
Right on. Well, we want to wish you all the luck in the world. Hopefully, this show will help push a little momentum your way and sell a few more fish and get some quality product on people's tables. That I think at the end of the day, that's really what resonates with me is let's all be cautious of what we eat, where it comes from, create that sustainable lifestyle. As entrepreneurs, business leaders, and opportunities, this is the way we help each other, get through life and all these tough times. So, Nick, thank you for what you're doing.
Thanks a lot, Jim. I appreciate your time.
All right. Well, if you enjoyed the show, share it. And we'd love to hear from you, all your ideas, topics for Rod and I to talk about. And if you've got a guest idea or submission, send them my way. Thanks again.